Hello, everybody. This is Rocket Rick J18, and today I'm going to talk to you about my collection of Willie Mays sports cards and other items. Uh, Willie Mays was arguably one of the one or two greatest baseball players in the history of the game. I think it's arguable whether it's Babe Ruth or Willie Mays, but you'd have a hard time convincing me, at least, that it's not one of the two of them. So, Willie Mays was born on May the 6th, 1931, in Westfield, Alabama, which is a small town that was built by a steel company there to work at one of the Birmingham, Alabama steel mills. It's Westfield is in Jefferson County, of which Birmingham is the county seat. So he attended high school there at the Fairfield Industrial High School. He graduated in 1950 at the age of 19, and so it's sort of questionable about how he didn't graduate in 1949. But nevertheless, his first game was May 25th, 1951, at the age of 20, with the then New York Giants and their manager Leo DeRocher. Leo took care of Willie, tried to make sure that he was protected early in his career. He remained the New York Giants manager until 1957, when the Giants moved out to the West Coast. Leo DeRocher did not go with them. It's and to say that Willie, probably was going to miss having Leo DeRocher is probably an understatement at the time. Although he did fairly well. He did play a couple of years for Bill Rigney, and then ultimately Alvin Dark, for whom he played. I want to talk a little bit about his career. He started playing organized baseball with the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro American League in 1948. He played a couple years with them. He also played for a couple of minor league teams, and so they included Class B Trenton Giants of the Interstate League and the AAA Minneapolis Millers of the American Association in 1951. He was called up to the Giants on May 24th, 1951. He wasn't really sure that he was going to be able to make it. Leo DeRocher called him on the telephone and said, quit costing the ball club money with long distance calls, join the team. So not only was Willie a great offensive player, and he was also, one of the all-time greatest defensive players. Playing in the Polo Grounds was difficult because although they had a short left field corner, 258 feet, the center field fence was at 483, the deepest in Major League Baseball. He made his debut against the Phillies at Shibe Park, and he hit his first home run on May the 13th off of Warren Spahn. So that was home run number one. He made one in a large portion of another year. He did not play, but was in the military service at that time in Fort Eustis, Virginia. He did play baseball on the military teams with other major leaguers as well. 1954, came back to the Giants on opening day, hit a home run against Carl Erskine. He also earned his first National League Most Valuable Player award in 1954, and the Giants did go on to win the World Series in 1954 against the Cleveland Indians. So Willie got his, as I say, got his first MVP. He made probably the most famous catch in the history of Major League Baseball. It's known simply as the catch. It came in the 1954 World Series. The ball hit by Vic Wertz to just to the right of the keyhole, so to speak, in Forbes Field. Mays made the catch, running away from the ball towards the wall. Made an over-the-shoulder catch, whirled and threw the ball into the infield, which prevented a runner scoring, and led to the Giants winning Game 1 of the World Series in '54. So, we'll say that. Not try to belabor too much on this, but when Alvin Dark became the manager of the Giants at the beginning of the 1961 season, he had basically told Willie, he said, you're the best player in baseball, and he said, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do, but I'll give you my impressions and views, and we'll see what goes from there. So in 1961, that's the year, of course, that Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle had their race to 61, with Maris winning it and leading the major leagues in home runs. The National League was led by Orlando Cepeda, who hit 46 home runs. Willie was right up with Orlando Cepeda, but he had kind of a little bit of a slump right at the end of the year. He finished with 40 home runs, 129 runs scored, batted .308, and drove in 123. So he had a really pretty good year. In 1962, however, he had a year that many thought he should have won the National League Most Valuable Player, but he came in second to Maury Wills. He led the team in 8 offensive categories, Willie did. Runs, doubles, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, walks, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. On September 30th, in the Giants' final game, Willie hit a game-winning home run that drove the Giants into a tie for first place with the LA Dodgers. And in the National League at that time, the National League ties for first place were settled by a 3-game playoff. The Giants and the Dodgers split the first 2 games, and in the third game, which is a game that I listened to partly on the radio and did hear the end of the game, Willie Mays led off the 9th inning with an RBI single, eventually scoring as the Giants scored 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Giants got the first 2 outs, and Lee Walls hit a fly ball to center field, which Mays caught for the final out. and the Giants went to the World Series in 1962. They eventually lost Game 7 in a series where the Yankees won games 1, 3, 5, and 7. The Giants won games 2, 4, and 6, and there was a fairly significant rain delay in San Francisco, which set the series back several days. Let's just talk about the bottom of the ninth inning, because the Yankees had scored 1 run in the 5th inning when Tony Kubek grounded into a bases-loaded double play with nobody out, and Bill Skowron scored from third base. So that made it 1-0, and it's remained that way until the bottom of the 9th inning. In the opening of the inning, Matty Alou reached first base on a bunt, but the next 2 batters made outs, and Alou was not able to advance. With 2 outs, Willie Mays came up and hit a ball down into the right field corner, which Roger Maris played perfectly, I think, and the relay throw came to Bobby Richardson, and Whitey Lockman, the third base coach for the Giants, elected to hold Alou up at third base. The Yankees believed that had he tried to score, Richardson would have thrown him out. That's how well the relay was. So that left runners at second and third, and Willie McCovey up. McCovey hit as hard a ball as you could hit, but it didn't get very high off the ground, and it was right at Bobby Richardson, who caught it for the final out, with the Yankees winning Game 7 1-0. Ralph Terry was the winning pitcher, and so he had pitched a great game up to that point and won it 1-0 shutout. He was the pitcher who was on the mound giving up Bill Mazeroski's home run in the 1960 World Series. So it was a bit of a redemption for Ralph Terry. Willie Mays became the highest paid baseball player, and he remained so, with a couple of exceptions. One was when he was tied with Mickey Mantle one year, and another one was when he was exceeded by Sandy Koufax. I believe that was 1966. But he became, when Koufax retired at the end of 1966, he resumed his position as the highest paid baseball player and retained that until the end of his career. So in 1965, Mays had one of his best seasons. He was on the field on August 22nd when there was a brawl between the Giants and the Dodgers, when Juan Marichal, who was batting, turned around and used the bat as a weapon against the Dodger catcher, John Roseboro, because he believed Roseboro had intentionally whizzed one right past his ear, throwing it back to the pitcher. In any case, Mays came off the bench and grabbed Roseboro by the waist and helped him get off the field, which he might have, wound up not in very good condition. After he did that, he tackled Lou Johnson to keep him from attacking the umpire, and Johnson kicked him in the head and nearly knocked him out. After the brawl, somewhat dizzy still, Mays hit a game-winning 3-run home run against Sandy Koufax, and then left the game with that dizziness. So 1965 was a great year for Willie. He won his second of 2 MVPs, although some players, a biographer of his, thought really realistically he might have earned as many as 7. So anyway, the span between his 2 MVP seasons is 11 years, 1954 to 1965, which is the longest of any major leaguer who won at least 2 MVPs. And also, there were 10 years in between his 50 home run seasons. He did hit over 50 home runs in 1965. He scored 118 runs in 1960. It was the 12th year in a row he scored 100 runs. So the other thing that's notable is that the Gold Glove Award was not instituted until 1957, but Willie Mays won 12 in a row, which is still the record for outfielders. So he probably would have won more had there been an award between 1951 and 1956. At the end of his career, Willie's talents had faded, and so at 41 years old, he was traded to the New York Mets for pitcher Charlie Williams and an undisclosed amount of cash, rumored to be $100,000. Willie appeared in 88 games in 1972 for the Mets. I guess he was traded at the end of the 71 season. And in 1973, he did manage to hit his 660th home run against Don Gullett, which was his final home run. He played in 66 games, but batted a career low .211 with 6 home runs. He only played in Game 5 of the National League Championship Series against the Cincinnati Reds, in which he got a single, and the Mets won that game 7-2 to face the Oakland Athletics in the 1973 World Series. Incidentally, the Mets, I think, had a record of 82, 81, and 78 or something like that, something close, which is barely over 500. But the National League East was so bad they finished first, and they managed to beat the Reds, who had a much better season. Probably should have beaten the Mets, but nevertheless, Willie did get into the 1973 series. He played in Game 1, where unfortunately he stumbled several times in the first 2 games. He made a fielding error in Game 2 that allowed the Athletics to tie the game, which then went into extra innings. His last hit came in the same game, Game 2, an RBI single against Raleigh Fingers in the 12th inning. So they did win the game despite his error, and he drove in the winning run. His final at bat was in Game 3, pinch hit for Tug McGraw and grounded into a force play, and the Mets ultimately lost the series in 7 games. Willie's All-Star Game performances over the years are legendary. He had 75 at-bats, 23 hits, 20 runs scored, 40 total bases, tied with Brooks Robinson for most triples, 3. Ted Williams said at the end of his All-Star career, at the end of Willie's All-Star career, he said they invented the All-Star Game for Willie Mays. So that's some of Willie's was elected to the Hall of Fame on the first ballot of his first year of eligibility, 1979. Dick Young, the New York Daily News columnist of some fame, wrote when 23 voters did not vote for Willie Mays, he said if Christ himself were to show up in his old baseball glove, the guys wouldn't vote for him. After all, he dropped the cross 3 times, didn't he? So made a little joke. Some people might perhaps think that's sacrilegious, but it sort of gives you the idea of how much Dick Young thought of Willie Mays and his his Hall of Fame, the 23 guys that didn't vote for him. So I mean, there's if you want to know about WAR, Willie's was 156.2, which ranks 5th all-time and 3rd among position players behind Barry Bonds and Babe Ruth. Sabermetrician Bill James thought Willie Mays to be the best outfielder of all time, and he named him the best in the major leagues in the 1950s and the 1960s. So anyway, that's some of the effect of Willie Mays, some of his career. After baseball, notably, he was banned from baseball when he signed a contract to be a greeter at Bally's Park Place Casino in Atlantic City, as did Mickey Mantle, by the way. So Bowie Kuhn is the one who banned him after telling him both that that they could give up the job if they wanted to continue to be associated with baseball, which they elected to keep the money, which I believe was reported to be $100,000 each. When Kuhn was not renewed and Peter Ueberroth was elected to the baseball commissioner's state in 1985, he said, "I'm bringing back 2 players who are more a part of baseball perhaps than anyone else." So that's the background for Willie Mays. I hope that it's worth the time. And we'll pause here to move the camera around and show the cards. Okay, we're going to take a look at the Willie Mays cards that I've collected so far. I think that as with most of the cards in my collection, most of these cards are ungraded, although the 2 you're looking at have been graded. The 1951 Bowman rookie card is a PSA 1, and the 1952 Topps card is a PSA 1.5. And that's, some of the cards are in better condition than that, but some of them are maybe even in worse condition than this, than the PSA 1. I've got a couple of cards that I think maybe might not even get that grade. So anyway, these are 2 awesome cards which I'm thrilled to have in my collection, even though they're not pristine by any means. So moving on from those 2, the next 3 cards are the 52 Bowman card, which I think is a very beautiful card. The colors are soft, and but the look in Willie's eye is pretty determined, I think. In any case, I really like that card. It's not in bad shape. It's not great by any means, but it's not bad. The next card there is the 1952 or 1953 rather, Topps card. There was no 1953 Bowman card made of Willie. And this card is according to many, is his most beautiful card, and I think it's stunning. Um, Somebody mentioned that they thought maybe there were cows in the background there, but we've been assured that they are not by somebody who's looked at the original photograph. Next to the 53 tops is the 54 tops, which I think is in pretty good condition, and that's Willie in his prime from his MVP year and World Championship year of 1954. And next to that is Willie's 1955 card. Again, a very beautiful card in his New York Giants uniform. That's Willie Mays. Next to that is Willie's 1956 Topps card, which is in terrible condition. As you can see, it's creased, it's got tape on it, it's got horribly rounded corners, lots of surface wear. It really needs to be replaced, and I will certainly look into doing that. Next to that is the, oh, wait a minute, this is the Hank Aaron card, not the Willie Mays card. What? But look a little closer, and I think most of you will agree that the smaller photograph looks a lot more like Willie Mays than it does like Hank Aaron, even though they have, I think, painted in a Milwaukee Braves cap. Most people think this is Willie Mays, and some people have, gone back and looked at the original photographs and everything, have given their opinion that it is indeed Willie Mays. But that's why we have this Hank Aaron card in there. So next to the 1956 cards are the 1957 Willie Mays, which is card number 10. It's a beautiful card. Mine is, definitely in a condition that I would describe as gently used. And then we have the 1958 card, which is probably no better than an authentic with the tape marks there. Corners don't look too shabby. They're a little rounded. Still pretty bright colors, I think. And moving on, we come to the 1958 Rival Fence Busters. Again, not in bad condition. And the 1958 Willie Mays All-Star card, which is in pretty good condition, I think. Moving to 1959, the Mays card is in very good condition, I think. Pretty sharp corners, lots of color and gloss. It really makes for a lovely presentation for a baseball card. Looking a little closer at the 1959 Baseball Thrills card commemorating Willie Mays' catch in the 1954 World Series, often referred to simply as the catch. Maybe one of the greatest well-documented plays in baseball history. And next to that card is the Willie Mays All-Star card from 1959. Again, a very lovely card. Pretty good shape, I think. Moving on to 1960, it comes the Willie Mays horizontal card for 1960. One of my favorite sets. Again, just a beautiful set of cards. Also from 1960, the Master and Mentor, Willie Mays, with his new manager, Bill Rigney. Actually not that new. I think he became manager when the Dodgers moved out to San Francisco. Or the Giants, rather, moved out to San Francisco. And then next to that is the 1960 Willie Mays All-Star card. Again, pretty good condition, I think. A little off-center, left to right, but still pretty good, pretty nice card. And we're going to shoot back down here to the beginning of the row and pick up the 1961 cards, and this is what we used to call a BHNH card, which is stands for Big Head No Hat. I don't like cards with no hats. I don't really like cards without the Major League team insignia on them, as you'll see in the MVP card of Willie Mays for the 1961 season. There's no Giants emblem on his hat, no Giants hat of any kind on his regular card. And on the All-Star card from 1961, Willie's got his cap on, so we always appreciate those. Also from 1961 is the Post Serial card, reasonably well cut out, although it's certainly not going to get a very good grade with that corner up there in the upper left-hand side of the card. So moving on to 1962, there's Willie's card number 10. Is that number 10? I think it is, maybe not. Well, whatever the number is, that's Willie in all his glory there in 1962. Next to that is the Manager's Dream card, which you saw in the Mickey Mantle Tabletop Display video, featuring Mickey. And this one, I see it again, featuring Willie. The 1962 Home Run Leaders card with statistics from the 1961 season shows the National League leader Orlando Cepeda with 46 home runs, and Willie Mays in second place with 40 home runs. And there in third place is Frank Robinson with 37 home runs. There's the 1962 Topps Willie Mays All-Star card and the 1962 Post Serial card. I do not have the 1963 Post Serial card. I'm still working on that set. But here is his 1963 Topps card. Not very well centered, but with pretty sharp corners, reasonably sharp. Same with the Pride of the National League combo card featuring Stan Musial along with Willie. And next is the 1962 National League Home Run Leaders from the 1963 set, featuring Willie as the league leader. Doesn't tell how many home runs he hit, but that would be on the reverse side. And you can see that also featured on this card, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson. Let's see here. Ernie Banks and Orlando Cepeda. So on this one card, 5 Hall of Famers, home run leaders for the 1962 National League. Next to that is Willie's 1964 Topps card, along with the combo card Giant Gunners, also featuring Orlando Cepeda. And finally, the Topps in the NL combo card for 1964, featuring Hank Aaron along with Willie Mays. 1964, the home run leaders were Hank Aaron, Willie McCovey, Willie Mays, and Orlando Cepeda. So we got 1 Brave and 3 Giants and 4 Hall of Famers. In 1964, Topps issued a stand-ups set, and here's Willie's card. Also, Topps issued a set of coins, and here's Willie's regular 1964 Topps coin, along with his 1964 All-Star Topps coin. And next we have featured Willie Mays on his 1965 Topps card, This is Willie's second MVP season, and he just was outstanding, as you'll see when we look at the 1966 league leader cards. But here we show him as on the home run leaders card with, let's see here, Billy Williams, Johnny Callison, Orlando Cepeda, and Jim Ray Hart. Now, Callison was the right fielder for the Phillies. He hit a 3-run homer in the 9th inning of the 1964 All-Star game to win that game. And Jim Ray Hart was an exceptional hitter. And here's a card from his younger days. And then we have the 1964 RBI leaders with Ken Boyer on top, and next to him Ron Santo, and then in third place Willie Mays. And then finally for 1965 we have the Topps embossed set, which is kind of a neat, certainly a different. I'm kind of glad they didn't really catch on, because as you can see, they don't really transmit a very great image. It's almost like a ghost image. So we'll move back up here to the beginning again and start with the Willie Mays 1966 base card. There's Willie sort of imitating a basket catch. Obviously that's completely posed. But also on here are the league leader cards for the 1965 season, and I wanted to show these, especially take a little time with them to show how close Willie came to winning the Triple Crown in 1965. He was the home run leader. In second place, Willie McCovey, and in third place, Billy Williams. As far as batting average, Willie came in third behind the league leader Roberto Clemente and the second place finisher Hank Aaron. And then in the third category, RBIs, Darren Johnson finished first, Frank Robinson second, and Willie Mays third. So he really came very close to winning the Triple Crown, losing out to a couple spots in batting average and RBI leaders. 1967, Willie's got a great card, just smiling and full portrait. Wonderful card. Mine has edges that are a little bit rounded, but the color looks good. You know, it's not too badly off center. The next card is Willie's image on the third series checklist, and it also shows Willie as third place finisher in the National League home run race, 1966. Also from 1967, a combo card with Willie Mays and fellow Hall of Famer and San Francisco Giant Willie McCovey. In 1968, we have Willie's base card, and also the combo card with Willie in the middle, in between Harmon Killebrew and Mickey Mantle. And there you're looking at together about 1,700, maybe close to 1,800 career home runs. Killebrew had 573, Mantle had 536, and Willie had 660. Pretty amazing. Next is Willie's 1968 card. I think this is a set that has really grown on me. I think the photographs in this set are wonderful, and so really like the Mays offering in this set. And also from 1969 is Willie's Deckle Edge card. Pretty off-center, but still a pretty nice looking card. And then also his game card featuring Willie as the home run bat, in the 1969 game card issue. In 1970, we're looking at Willie's base card, and along with that, his 1970 Milton Bradley game card. And finally, in 1970, the Willie Mays story, booklet number 24, in an insert issue, which there were 24 cards, and Willie Mays being one of those. We're looking next at Willie's 1971 Topps card. Willie wanted to get a lifetime contract with the Giants, most of which would have been fulfilled after he was retired as a member of the front office or possibly coach, some sort of position like that. The Giants were having monetary problems, and so they didn't sign Willie to that contract. Instead, they traded Willie to the Mets, and although he appears on a Giants baseball card in 1972, in fact 2 of them, he actually played most of the season with the New York Mets. So that's Willie's final 2 cards pictured as a Giant. The 1973 card pictures Willie as a New York Met, although he only appeared in 66 games and didn't hit very well. He did help the Mets get into the World Series, however, and so we'll see that card in 1974, even though 1973 was his last playing cards issue. 1973, he does appear on a combo card with Babe Ruth and Henry Aaron, and you can see that he has 654 home runs. He did hit 6 home runs in 1973, but he only batted .211. He did get a hit in the World Series, and for that reason, Willie is pictured on a 1974 World Series Game 2 commemorative. He actually drove in a run with a single, a pinch hit single, in extra innings. So that was Willie's contribution to the 1973 World Series, which the Mets went on to lose in 7 games to the Oakland Athletics. And the next card from 1974, again, sort of pictures Willie in the secondary position of, I'm going to give you a close-up of that card. Again, we kind of see somebody who looks a lot more like Willie Mays than he looks like Hank Aaron, but that's Hank Aaron's special from the subset of Hank Aaron's special cards. Here we have the 1954 Most Valuable Player card, picturing Yogi Berra as the American League MVP and Willie Mays as the National League MVP. And of course, the Giants won the World Series that year. And his second MVP came in 1965. We see Zoilo Versalles there as representing the American League and Willie representing the National League. One of the writers who spent a lot of time with chronicling Willie Mays' career said that he thought that Willie could easily have won 7 MVPs based upon his statistics in comparison with the rest of the National League. And now we're going to move over to look at some cards that are a little trickier to see. Here's an early exhibit card of Willie Mays sometime between 1951 and 1957. Here's a card from the National League Championship season, 1951, that has Willie in there. And not exactly sure where, but I'm sure you could pick him out if you needed to. 1951, the Yankees won the World Series and defeated the New York Giants. The next card is, again, another exhibit card, but this one clearly taken after the Giants moved out to San Francisco, and it's the redback version with statistics from the, let's see, the 1961 season. So that's a 1962 exhibit card. In 1961 and 1962, Topps issued stamps, and you had this booklet that you could paste them into, and this is Willie's stamp from 1961. Again, no hat, which I'm not fond of, but there it is. I don't have his 1962 stamp. I have yet to get that one. So next, the next we have the oversized 1964 Giant card, obviously picturing Willie as a Giant, but the first Giant refers to the card, not the players or the team. So that's they are considerably bigger, at least twice as big, I would say, as a standard card. The next item is from the 1967 Topps poster card. These cards are, roughly 5x7 or something close to that. A little bit bigger than a postcard, which you can see because it's next to his Hall of Fame postcard. And that completes my collection of Willie Mays playing day cards and a few other miscellaneous items that came with cards or sold by Topps. And thank you for sticking with me this long. As always, this is Rocket Rick J18, wishing that all your collecting dreams come true.